Good evening, everyone. We're calling to order the 6 o'clock meeting of the Daytona Beach Shores City Council for August 24th, 2021. Sherry, can you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Miller,
Here.
Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryan,
Here.
Councilmember Frizzlone,
Here.
Councilmember Place.
Here.
Thank you, Sherry. Reverend Bob, can you lead us in prayer?
I invite everyone to stand as you're able. Join me in prayer. O Holy One, as we enter these chambers tonight as citizens of the shores, as concerned neighbors for one another and for what happens in our city, we are thankful that you give us this opportunity to come together. And while our attention is on the business at hand and the decisions that must be made tonight, we ask that you would guide with your wisdom those decisions and those proceedings that happen here tonight. But we can't help but be mindful also of neighbors across this land and around the world who are battling to put their lives back together after the ravages of storms, of flooding, of fires, and of drought. We pray your protection and your guiding hand be upon them as well. We also share our concern for what is happening in Afghanistan, for the people of Afghanistan, for the Americans that are still there, trying to get home, and especially for our military who is making sure that they can get out safely. May your hand be upon that situation as well as it continues to be on our minds and in our prayers. Be with us tonight in your spirit and guide and direct us in our lives. For this we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started today with our council meeting, I was hearing some reports last week that it was hard to hear us. Please, if somebody in the back, Lori, Bill Dreyer, or someone on this side, if you can't hear us, please let us know. Angie's going to check maybe the microphones and to see also if we need additional speakers in the back. But please help us by letting us know if you can't hear us. Thank you. Okay, well, this is our favorite part of the evening. We have a presentation for Detective Daniel Carazana for his 5-year service award, and it makes me so happy to see all of your fellow officers here to support you. So if you could come forward, and I think the chief has something for you.
I do. Proverbial big check.
Get it to you back at your office.
Yeah, we'll get it later. Daniel, I can't believe he's been here 5 years. He's 18 years old, but he's,
19 next month.
he's one of our investigators. He's also a firearms instructor. He's on our regional SWAT team. He trains on a lot of things. He's a terrific young man. His wife works for the city, and I'm very happy to have him here. And 5 years goes like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, time's flown.
Yeah. So I've got a 5-year pin for you. It's solid gold. I say this every time, and the same people are here, they laugh at the same jokes, but I can't change it.
Open and close.
Yeah, but and it's wonderful, and
Sir.
congratulations, buddy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you can say a couple things if you like. I know you're not.
Hey, Chief, before you leave, can you tell us about the nice ceremony we had yesterday that you got to swear in? We are very influential in that happening, so we want to reap the rewards.
Right. Since the council took the actions that they did back in the spring, I've managed to not completely fill up my department, but I have hired quite a few people. And yesterday I got to swear in 4 new officers who were into the, what we call the Field Training Officer Program. That program will last a few months, so it's not like they're on the street by themselves. But in fact, today, Daniel took them to the range. They've already shot with their handguns, and today they got their assigned rifles, and they went to qualify with that. He said now they're twice as dangerous, but the mayor came. Bill here? Hi, Bill. Bill Dreyer came, and the manager came. Really, it was a really nice ceremony. Unfortunately, like I told everybody, we had to go. All of us had to go to a police funeral yesterday, which was heartbreaking. At the same time, I'm welcoming people into the business. We're all going to the funeral for a young man who was murdered, but it's part of the business. I was telling somebody last night, I've been to a lot of police funerals in my career, and it's not fun. None of them are fun. Some of my friends have been killed. It's just, I guess it's just what you accept. But I want to thank you, definitely you and the council for what you did and helping us get squared away. We've still got a few openings, but we're trying.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Good news. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, next, we'll move on for the approval of the minutes for the city council meeting on August 10th, 2021. Do we hear a motion to accept those minutes?
So move.
Thank you. Do we hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, Sherry, can you take a roll?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Yes.
Councilman Politis,
Yes.
Councilman Frizzlone,
Yes.
Councilman Bryan,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Passes 5-1. Next, I'm sorry, 5-0. Next, the consent agenda. We have 3 items on that consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to accept those as is, or do we need to pull something from that consent agenda?
I move we accept them as reported.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on any of the consent agenda items? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll?
Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Yes.
Councilman Politis,
Yes.
Councilman Frizzlone,
Yes.
Councilman Bryan,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, 5-0. Attorney Carey, could you please read your city's attorney report to us?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to report that we had our Seized Dogs hearing that we worked with the police department on, and the hearing resulted in a complete victory for the city. And we will be having a separate hearing for costs, once we get the final costs determined. It's a 2-part hearing, essentially, one on the merits, and then when we get all the costs tabulated, we go back to get the judgment. The second thing is, we met multiple times with the city staff and developer on Treasure Island case, and coming up with a stipulated agreement that you accepted in the meeting last week. And we also had additional documents to review for the opioid litigation case.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Attorney Carey?
Yeah, what did the review of the opioid yield?
The latest documents were just small, it had to do with a bankruptcy case that one of the cases involved in. Nothing that we had to take any action on, just informational.
One less payer, right?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, the companies that are involved are kind of dropping like flies because the judgment, I think, is going to be so huge, and they can declare bankruptcy and try to get out of it.
Okay, any other questions for Attorney? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to our reports of the city manager. City Manager Booker, what do you have for us this evening?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Regarding Treasure Island, again, City Council approved the stipulated agreement with Acres Capital. This opens the door for demolition and redevelopment of this iconic property, and I believe it establishes a timeline to reach goals of the City Council in a timely manner and avoids any potentially lengthy litigation. We just recently had the museum dedication. Many thanks to everyone who planned and participated in the dedication of the Don Large Museum on August 19th. It warmed my heart to see so many of Don's friends and colleagues and hear them reminisce about his life in the shores. Don was the longest serving combined mayor and city council person the shores has ever known, with a combined years of service of 27. Due to term limits being instituted, that record will never be broken. Sewer redundancy, later this week, Assistant City Manager Schwartzlander and I will meet with the Daytona Beach City Manager Derek Feature to discuss the potential viability of establishing a sanitary sewer redundancy for the city of Daytona Beach Shores. And initially, we're going to keep those at about the 10,000-foot level. We're not going to get into discussion of any rates or anything. We just want to establish a relationship and see if Daytona Beach is open to letting us participate in something along these lines.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Any questions for our city manager?
Yes, did the, excuse me,
Yeah.
did the magistrate approve our agreement?
That's on August 25th.
Okay.
Tomorrow. Yeah, you know what, Mike, you know where the tie-in would be for the redundancy?
Yeah, we have to run about a mile worth of line just to get to the crossing area so we can get over the shortest distance subaqueous to Bethune Point. So we have to run quite a bit of sewer line just to get to the point where we could tie in.
That will be on beachside, right?
Yes,
We tie in on beachside.
correct.
Go to, the line to Bethune Point is already there. Right?
Well, they have one line. Probably might be in their best interest if they did another line as well, but I don't know that. I know they did one, they may have done two. But either way, that line is sufficient, of sufficient capacity to handle whatever flow we would give them.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions for the city manager? Okay, if not, we'll move on. We don't have any old business, but this evening on new business, this body met as the Audit Selection Committee, and they made their recommendation to City Council in a previous meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation and that we direct staff to go ahead and negotiate a letter of engagement with James Moore.
Okay, do I hear a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion from this council on the selection that was made by the Audit Committee? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Frizzlo?
Yes.
Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. The motion passes 5-0. So next we'll go on. We did have, would it be called an RFP for 136 Beachcomber Street? That is one of the properties that the city owns. And so we did have two, did you need something first, Kurt? Will you come up to read on the?
I'll come up in a second if you
Okay.
want.
So we did have two bids on that property, and both of those bidders are here this evening. So if they want to come forward and speak with us, now would be the time. Sheila, would you like to come forward?
I didn't know I was going to do this.
Just say your name and address. Thank you.
My name is Sheila Duncan. I'm currently a business owner at that property, 136 Beachcomber, Wow Factor Interiors. And I can you hear me?
Can you hear in the back? Okay, good, very good. Thank you, Sheila.
Okay, I'm short. And so I put in a bid and I asked the council's consideration for my bid. And if you have any questions for me concerning my bid, I'd be happy to answer them right now. Or, if you need further information. I've been at that location for almost 6 years now and love it. And I feel like me and the hair salon that's in the building and the dog groomers are a valuable service for the community. We are service oriented, all three of us, and I would like to try to save all three of us in that area if possible.
Okay, and I did see that there was a request on that the city would finance. You bid the $215 and you added that you would like the city to finance that.
Yes, we had some discussion about that last year before COVID hit, and I placed a bid earlier, and we kind of talked about it, and if that's possible, if you would consider it, I would, like for you to do that if that's feasible for the city.
Council?
Have you explored other alternatives to getting a mortgage?
Yes, I have talked to my bank, and they, sort of had paperwork on hold, but they said if the city was willing to do it, they felt like it would probably be a better option for me. So, but I do have an alternative, you know, if you can't.
Thank you.
Councilman Frizzle?
Yeah, what are the terms that the bank is looking to provide for you? Or what would
We
you
didn't really
like?
discuss terms on what, you know, with them, negotiating the loan with them. So I don't have an answer for that question.
What would you like us to provide for you, Sheila? What would you be looking for? What-
You know, I was thinking, you know, maybe a 20-year loan at, you know, the current interest rate or the percentage you would require over the percentage rate.
Would you put something down on that loan?
Yeah, I'm considering 20% down. And I could do 20% down. I think you already have my, half of that already, so we can do 20% down.
Okay, and Sheila, would your plan be for the, well, naturally yourself and the other two in there to keep those 3 current leases in that
Yes.
location?
Yes, that would be my plan. And, you know, I have spoken to them about it and told them, you know, I'm going to have to assume the insurance and the property tax, that their rent would probably go up, and they both agreed and understood and are willing, you know, to work with me on that too, so.
Why do you want to purchase it? Why?
For my business, I love it in the shores, you know, all of you, the whole city has been awesome in my business, and I appreciate it. I love the shores, and I'd like to stay there. I have looked at other rentals in case I didn't get the bid, and because I do, you know, want to stay in the shores if at all possible. And I would love to stay in that location because everybody sort of knows where I am now. I just sort of got that, you know, that information, kind of knowledge with everyone. But, you know, I just like to stay in the shores. You know, I love working here.
Great, thank you. Vice Mayor?
Sheila, have you talked to the other residents or the other people in your complex?
Mm-hmm.
And how do they feel about you becoming the landlord? And what are your intentions?
Oh, they're excited. They had their fingers crossed that I would get it because they along with me, we were worried that if I didn't, we were, you know, unsure of what would happen with all 3 businesses, you know.
Well, do you feel comfortable with the current rates that they're paying?
Yeah, I feel comfortable, but like I say, I've spoken with them and told them, you know, that if I do get it, I've kind of, you know, ran numbers, and I said, you know, I may have to increase your rent a little bit. And they were like, yeah, we're good with that, we can do it, you know, so.
Let me ask a question. If you raise the rate to a point that they decided to leave, would you be coming back to the city and asking for a...
No, to be honest, what I would do because my business needs to expand. I need more space.
I'm talking about the rental rebate, the lease rebate program that's in existence now.
She's probably not familiar with that, only because she's
All right,
a...
well, our economic development program tries to get new businesses to come into vacant properties.
Okay.
We give them incentives. The first year lease, we rebate 30%, 20% the next year, and 10% the following year as incentives to bring them back into vacant places.
Okay.
But if we're going to work with you or anyone, we obviously are dealing in a property that is, the numbers are way below current estimated value, the appraised value, whatever. If you decide to raise the rates and chase people out, that cause people to leave, I would not expect you to come back and ask for...
Oh, no, I had not planned on that. I wasn't even aware of that.
Okay, well, I mean, that would have to be part of any agreement that I...
Yeah, that's fine with me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but, you know, I don't plan on raising the rate to a point where I would run them off. You know, that is not my intention. I want them to stay. We all 3 bring in clients for each other, so I would do everything I could possibly do to keep them there. Even if they're current rates, if I have to, you know. But I have spoken to them, and they are, you know, excited that I was bidding on it, and they were hoping I'd get it, and they were willing to, you know, increase their rent payments and would be happy with it. Because I think some of them have been looking around at rates on other places to rent, and they see what's out there, and they realize what a good deal they're getting there. So I think they would appreciate even if I did raise it, you know, 10%, 20%, whatever. And I think that's in their leases, you know, certain 1 or 2% or something every year. You know, they were excited and willing to do that in order to be able to stay where they are.
Any other questions? If not, well, thank you, Sheila, so much for coming this evening.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Okay, and our next applicant would be Kevin's here tonight, Perker. Say, how do you say your last name again?
Sounds good enough to me.
Okay, all right. He is the current order of the cracked egg. Now, I do want to say, and you know, just to be upfront, on that bid from the Wow Factor, on advice of counsel, it would probably be better if the city did not find that. And then I also want to say to you, on the advice of counsel, that the escalation clause was nothing that we would consider, so.
Understood.
Understood, okay. So if you want to go over again what your bid was, and.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I had an ex parte communication with Kevin today, and I just want to disclose that.
Okay.
We'll talk about what was discussed later, but I just want.
And Vice Mayor Lindauer and Madam Mayor, Kevin and I spoke a couple of days ago.
Okay, and I spoke to Kevin yesterday too, and it was just a general type thing, so, okay. Thank you all for divulging that, appreciate it. Okay, Kevin, if you'd like to go on.
Sure. So we started interest in 136 Beachcomber a few years ago. When we sat down and we talked, we heard that the city might be interested in selling Beachcomber, and so we talked about that process, and we actually did as well. We did bid a few years ago too. I, like Sheila, 100% would have 100% desire for all the current tenants of Wow Factor, Hair Fair, and the Beachside Pet Grooming to stay. I own another strip plaza in a different city. And I purchased that strip plaza. It's got 9 units, and one tenant was paying, a second tenant was not paying, and another tenant was leaving, and I had 6 vacant units. And it's very challenging to find commercial tenants. Working with all the tenants that are there would 100% be my desire. You know, our goal is we're seeking to generate passive income. You know, and it's what we're looking to do now. And so keeping tenants is always crucial. You know, all those guys have been there for a long time, and from what I heard, they don't have a desire to leave. Our bid was a little bit different in how we structured it. You know, we did what is in the real estate world as an escalation clause. We use this on almost every contract nowadays. It comes in with an escalation clause. And after sitting back and talking and understanding, you know, the perspective, I understand why the escalation clause didn't go through. The goal was to do what we often do in real estate contracts, and to be able to have a bid and be able to kind of incrementally overbid, sort of not to make light of it, but kind of like an eBay of real estate, if you will. And so that's how we sort of structured it. You know, when we were putting it together, we were on a family vacation in an RV out in Montana or something like that, and we had very limited internet and limited access to be able to all of the documentation we were looking for. In our current strip plaza, we are looking to continue to maintain and improve it, and we would be looking to do the same in Beachcomber. It's a great location and an amazing city and a great place, and we have an interest in continuing maintaining that to the expectation of Daytona Beach Shores. You know, I think that in the near future, Beachcomber might have a paint job in its future to do, and you know, we're happy to do that as well as everything else. We've got the reserves in place from our other plaza to be able to maintain and upkeep this one. Our offer is an all-cash offer, and that's what we're looking to do.
So what would the cash offer be?
Well, the offer that we had submitted was 175. If the city were to, with that escalation clause in this scenario, it would have, if the escalation clause were to go through, which I understand it didn't, our bid would have been 217.5. And I'm still happy to honor that now.
So 217,500 cash offer.
Ready to close when you're ready to close. Do everything by power to keep all the current tenants. And
Would you also consider raising their rates, or would you try to maintain the rates the best that you can?
I would try to maintain to, I think that the city, through my review of the leases, that there's incremental increases inside of the leases, and that's something that I would not go out and ask somebody that's paying X amount to double their rent, for example, and do audacious, I'd lose tenants, and that's not the goal. So I think I would incrementally, as the city has inside of their leases, to do something similar, kind of similar to what Sheila was discussing earlier, do incremental increases. Moderate.
Absolutely, yes.
Would you be willing to, from the date that you close, sign a 1-year stipulation where you would not raise the rent for 1 year?
Yes.
So you would show good faith to the 3 tenants?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Chris, we talked earlier today about, about a couple of issues that concerned me, and you had some good responses. I don't know that we came to any agreement, but I think that we both understood each other's position.
A little louder, Mel.
Okay.
Thank you,
Is
thank you,
this-
Bill.
Is this any better? Yes. Thank you. When I looked online to get information about the property, I see that it was assessed at $275,634. The estimates of the value were $343,607 on the low end and $479,683 on the high end. And it said the current value, they estimated the current value is $404,842. So we're a long way from those numbers. And you also, in your bid, said that you would escalate up to a certain number, which is obviously what you thought the maximum value of the property was. So there's quite a disparity between these two, between these numbers. And I think you explained the reason for why you think the comps and so forth are not, the assessed value is not correct. Do you want to elaborate on that for?
I'd be happy to. You know, Beachcomber's in a wonderful city. I can't knock that. You know, it does only have southbound exposure though. So as you're driving northbound on A1A, you're not seeing Beachcomber or any of the stores in there. You have to be traveling southbound. Additionally, this is set off the new ice cream store is east of it, so it is not apparent. You're not be able to have signage, through my understanding. You're not allowed to have a street sign because of where it's located at. So the tenants have to rely on the street signs that are above each and every individual unit. The comparables that it had, that we had discussed, were all direct A1A, visible from 3 separate sides, not just one side being southbound if you're traveling down A1A. Additionally, I believe that there's 14 parking spaces at Beachcomber, and a lot of the other comparables had larger land and larger parking and that sort of thing. You know, those are part of my thoughts, but really for me, when it comes down to, you know, taking a look at lease values and trying to maintain tenants, you know, my goal in my purchase is again passive income, and I've got to look at the leases that are in place, you know, and continuing to honor those and do small incremental increases, and that has. I still have to pay property taxes, insurance, and everything else, and maintenance that's out there too. You know, those are some of the things that really kind of weighed heavy in my decision and value where I was at.
And the other thing we talked about is if you raise the rates and chase anybody out, that we would have a vacant property. And of course, our economic development program wants to bring people into vacant properties. We don't want vacant property. You said that you would maintain pretty much the current rates.
I would, and I would be happy to sign an agreement that we wouldn't make any adjustments for a year. After that, I wouldn't expect but modest annual adjustments such as already in place, maybe a little bit more. But modest annual adjustments, not going around and saying, you know, one of the leases is $300. One lease is $300, and you know I don't know what they are. I just know that they total $2,269.29 a month, and
we'd like to protect the current residents
too.
or the current
I would too.
leases, and I want to make sure that if for any reason, the last thing we want is vacant properties. So I'd like to see them stay. I'd like to see you make a return on your investment. But I would want to be assured, and part of the contract would have to be, in my opinion, would have to be to, if there is a vacant property, for whatever reason, whether it's because you raised the rates or you were a bad landlord or whatever it is, if you end up with one or more vacant properties, I would not expect to, if we give you the property at a lower price, to come back and ask for lease subsidies.
Okay, if I could clarify, Vice Mayor, so we give that to the leasee. So, you know, that would have nothing to do with Kevin, and I'm not sure how I'm exactly feeling like that. Let's take, like Pappas Plaza, if somebody moved out, I wouldn't say to them, oh, well, you moved out because you were a bad landlord or something. I think on a case-by-case, we would still look at that leasee to see if they would qualify for the economic development lease.
I really want to be clear, though. I have zero desire to lose any.
No, because some landlords use that as a sales pitch. Well, you can come in, you can afford to pay this rent because the city will. So I would just want assurances that you weren't going to use that as a carrot to tell people, go to the city, you'll get 30% the first year, 25 and so forth. So I would trust you to not use that if you end up getting a property at what I consider a very, very low price.
I would hope to never have that conversation with anybody and be able to keep the 3 tenants.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
All right, any other questions for Kevin? So, Attorney Carey, where are we at right now? So, Kevin, so are you saying 217.5? And,
So
and
With a
ITB,
one-year moratorium on rent increases.
okay. Yeah, the ITB specifically allows you to, bargain with them as long as it's to the benefit of the city after their submittals. So it's no issue accepting a slightly higher bid than he had put in his proposal if you want. And really, the choice is yours as far as what you want to do moving forward.
okay, in order to be fair, though, do we ask the other applicant if they want to change their bid? I guess I'm a little confused right now.
Is to allow them to put their best offer on the table and allow you to evaluate it based on what they bid without knowing what anybody else would bid. But at the same time, you're not required to automatically sell it to the high bidder. You can consider other factors, and both bidders threw a loop in, one with the escalation clause, the other with the city financing that may cause you to look beyond just the simple dollars and cents in your evaluation. So, I think where you are at this point is probably to the point where you would want to take a motion from somebody as to how to dispose of this property, or if you wanted to put it back out to bid, or you don't have to sell it tonight. It's really up to you how you want to move forward.
Well, I move to accept the 217.5 with the 1-year moratorium on a rent increase. You have your offer here. It's cash.
So if I may, before I second, John, I'm terribly confused. I think the mayor asked you a straightforward question of which we did not get a straightforward answer. So let's try it again. We have an offer on the table, 2 offers. Are you suggesting I'm reading between the lines, that Kevin's offer is something we have to make as an exception because the sealed bid was at 175? Is that what I'm reading between the lines?
No, what I wanted to say is essentially that even if the sealed bids were just straight up, cash offers, both of them, you're not obligated to sell at to the highest bidder of the next.
I think we all get that. We're pretty bright people up here. So the question that I have is, we hit the bid that Kevin was sealed. The 217.5 for the sealed bid is in play.
Yes.
That is correct. So, because you're giving the impression, the strong impression, that we're negotiating here with two people and we can negotiate all night and we're going to do an auction here. So I don't want that impression to be with the residents, nor do I want it to be with the two bidders. We have a firm bid in your mind's eye of 217.5 that was sealed, that is appropriate. And then you have another bid that was for 215 that we want to have financed by the city. And that is what is before us, and we can accept one of those two bids, or we can turn everybody down and do this all over again.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
I just want to add one point on there. So the sealed bid actually was 175. It was not 217. It was, the sealed bid was 175 with these other clauses.
Which is why I mentioned that you're allowed to bargain, with the bidder to increase the sale as long as it's to the city's benefit.
Okay, so I think,
I don't think,
go ahead, Councilman
I
Bryan.
don't think it's fair to negotiate with just one person. And I think we should, if we're going to do anything to be fair, we should rebid it. Maybe the other person would be higher than, 217.
Without the city loan.
Yeah, we could rebid it.
Please keep in mind-
Cash offer and take the highest bidder.
So if I may, to make the to do the mayor's Robert Rules of Order, in order to have a discussion, there has to be a second, as that is, she is doing the correct thing, by the way. I like what you're doing very much in running the meetings. So I'm going to second Councilman Politis's motion, and now we can open up for
Absolutely
debate,
right.
and we can chat about it. So if I may say this, this is very difficult situation. My feeling on it is simply this, Sheila. My heart goes out to you. And we all, started out and trying to build, a future. And so I understand the situation of your $215,000 offer. I think it's absolutely fantastic that you went to the other tenants to try to hold them. But in my humble opinion, given what I know about real estate as an investor, if you're going to come to the city for a loan, there are other things at work. There is painting, there's repairs, there's parking lot, and et cetera, and on it goes. And it's going to be difficult for you, given the fact that we're financing this, and I would have no problems financing a $200,000 loan. But having said that, where all real estate people make the mistake is the upkeep and the repair, and that is very, very costly, of which may be a big drink of water for you. My feeling for you and the other tenants is, I think you got a great guy here. He is a known entity. He's done a tremendous amount in the Shores. He's come up here from 175 and has taken it to 217.5. And as soon as I asked him to take a one-year moratorium, he didn't even blink. So his heart is in the right spot. It's clearly he wants to keep you in the 3. And so my feeling here is, given that situation, I really feel that tonight I would like to give this to Kevin. I would like to go forward, and I just wanted to appeal to you, letting you know, I think you're in terrific hands. He's gonna do everything, for you, and I think he's going to keep the rents reasonable. He doesn't want an empty building, and he doesn't want, look, he's made a commitment here to the council. He's got a great reputation. He wants to keep that reputation intact. So I fully back him, and I really applaud you for the way you came up here, your professionalism, and the way you presented yourself tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I would just.
Well, I'm sorry, Sheila would like to say, Sheila, if you'd want to come back up again, we naturally, I second everything that Councilman Frizzalone. We want to do what's best for a business. I know, I've used your business, so.
My whole concern was being able to stay. So if he's willing to keep us as tenants, that works for me. I do feel a little bit cheated in that he was able to say, okay, I want to give this, but if she bids this, I'm going to go $2,000 over her. I feel a little bit.
And I can completely, I completely.
Last time I bid $250 and he bid $2,000 more than me on that bid. So, I just feel a little bit weird about that. But if he's willing to, and he's got the means, I agree, but if he's willing to, I was worried about somebody buying it and tearing it down. That's what I was worried about. And I was, just like I say, I was trying to save us all. But if he's willing to do that, then I'm willing to agree to it.
Okay.
Back down, I guess.
And we appreciate that, and Councilman Frizzalone, thanks for bringing it up too. And that's what I was trying to get at, that's what I was trying to get at too. I wanted to give you the chance, to come back and also do that. That's what I was getting at. Again, on council's recommendation, we probably don't want to be a loaner, because if we do that for one, then it would be the next one and the next one. So that probably would have been off the table, Sheila, that you would have had to go and get a bank loan.
Like
Yes.
I say, I did have another option on that, but I'm fine with, with him taking it as long as we can stay there. I'm happy.
Okay, thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice Mayor?
In my conversation with Kevin earlier today, he assured me, there's two different kinds of businesses. You look at it and you say, I need a big return on my money, so the first thing to do is to walk in and raise the rates and so forth.
Yeah.
But Kevin is smart enough to realize that if he keeps the rates low, he wants to keep you people in there. He does not want you to leave. And if you stayed in there forever, I think Kevin would be perfectly happy because he's run the numbers. And if he came in at a much higher number, he wouldn't have any choice but to raise the rates. But he's coming in a lower number that he figures that he can work with.
And that makes sense to me.
And I trust him.
And I'm smart enough to realize too that he's taking on now more expenses that we didn't have as you all as our landlord. That a little bit more in rent is understandable. So I think this works out for everybody.
All right, thank you, Sheila. Yeah, and we want it to be a win-win, so thank you so much. So based on, Councilman Bryan?
My comments had to do with, if Sheila was okay with it, I don't have a problem with it. But if Sheila wasn't okay with it, we should review it.
Exactly. I agree.
I agree with that.
So now that I think we've reached a win-win, so the motion on the table would be the same, that you would take the $217,500 cash. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion?
I believe that motion should also include the 1 year.
It does.
He
It
did
does.
say that.
It does.
He did say that. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Good, as a reminder. All right, any other discussion? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll?
Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Councilmember Frizzalone?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryan? Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, another 5-0. Thank you. Next, we're going to go on to council comments, and I have two things this evening. The first one, and Sherry, correct me on the date, is it September 18th for that beach cleanup?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you go on the Volusia County website, there is going to be a beach cleanup, and you can sign up. You can go to Frank Rendon Park, Andy Romano Park, so it's going to be an intercoastal day of cleanup on our beautiful, beautiful beaches. So I would love if people would go on there and try and sign up. You can give a couple hours. Sherry, which location are you going to be?
Van Avenue.
On Van Avenue. So anyway, I would just like to put that out there. If everybody could do that and keep our beaches beautiful, I'd appreciate it. And then the next thing is we're having a concert this Friday night, the 27th, 6:30 to 8:30? 6:30 to 8:30. So we'd love to have everyone come. It's a free concert. Bring your drinks, bring your food, and enjoy the great music. That's all I have right now. Councilman Politis?
I don't have any comments.
Councilman Frislow?
Yeah, just to the James Moore team, congratulations. You did a great job tonight. You did a terrific presentation, and we're proud to have you, and we look forward to working with you. And to Sheila and Kevin, you're a testament to the city. I think both of you represented yourself well, and we are very fortunate and blessed to have you as a tenant and have you as an owner. And so I appreciate you taking care of this very amicably tonight to both of you.
Great. I echo that. Vice Mayor?
For those who know that the urgent care was not able to accept Medicare for a period, I'm happy to report now that I checked with them yesterday, and they are taking Medicare now. They are not taking Medicaid at this time, but they are taking Medicare. So I think that's something that a lot of people in our community can take advantage of now.
Thank you. Councilman Bryan?
I was going to comment on that same issue. When we first contacted them, they said they were not taking Medicare. And I started exchanging emails with Bill Griffin, and he copied the new guy. And somebody told me this week that they are, I knew that Halifax wanted to, as far as the customer is concerned, they are taking Medicare. And I just want to make sure that if they didn't have normal approval, the customer would not be at risk. And I think that's been worked out. So sometimes those things don't get passed down to the people that are at the front desk. But I think as Mel went to the front desk and asked them. And I don't know what their constraints are about Medicare, but I sent another email asking him, Medicaid, if they would accept Medicaid at some point in the future, and if so, how long that would be. So I don't know what the status of that is.
Okay, great. Thank you. Nancy Maddox, I know at one point we were going to have somebody from Noon and Radiology Associates at the next Coffee with the Mayor. Were we able to confirm that?
I don't have a confirmation yet.
Okay, all right. The intent is that we would have someone there from both of those for the Coffee with the Mayor, so hopefully we can get some answers that night. So, okay, I don't have any audience comments, a written form. Is there anyone that has anything that they'd like to say? Okay, if not, what items do we have for the next agenda? And that will be September 13th, the Monday, correct?
Yes.
Remember, in September, we always have to change our meeting from the Tuesday to the Monday night because of a school board meeting. So it will be September 13th. And actually, Coffee with Mayor, that is normally the day after the meeting, will actually be September 8th. So keep that in mind, please. Okay, any items for the next agenda?